Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that all the trees around you have quietly disappeared from the house and returned to the forest overnight. Sounds impossible, right? But what if nature is silently reclaiming its space because it can no longer tolerate confinement? This intriguing idea forms the basis of the poem The Trees, written by Adrienne Rich. Hey, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Let's Learn with Lizzie. Today we are going to study the poem The Trees by Adrienne Rich. This poem is not just about trees moving physically, it is about a powerful symbolic commentary on freedom, environment, imbalance, and the relationship between humans and nature. As we explore this poem today, try to look beyond the literal meaning. Ask yourselves, are the trees only trees? Or do they represent suppressed voices, environmental concerns, or even human desires for freedom? Let's dive deeper and uncover the layers of meaning hidden within this thought provoking poem. Before understanding the poem, let us briefly know about the poet Adrienne Rich. Adrienne Rich was an influential American poet known for her strong voice on social issues, feminism, human freedom, and environmental consciousness. Her poetry often challenges societal norms and highlights hidden struggles, especially those related to oppression, identity, and relationship between humans and nature. While reading this poem, keep in mind that Rich rarely writes about nature. Trees here may symbolize something deeper, like freedom, suppressed voices, or environmental concerns. Now that we know about the poet, let us understand what the poem is generally about. At first glance, the poem seems very simple. Trees are moving out of a house into a forest. But poetry always works at symbolic levels. Here, trees are described almost like human beings, struggling, moving, escaping confinement. This unusual imagery immediately signals that the poem is metaphorical. The poet is possibly criticizing modern urban life, where forests are cut down while decorative plants are kept indoors. Nature, however, cannot be imprisoned forever, right? Whenever you see unusual personification in poetry, look for the symbolic meaning in the poem. Examiners expect interpretations beyond literal understanding. Let us now identify the central themes of the poem. There are four major themes students should remember. First comes the conflict between nature and humans. Human civilization often tries to control nature, cutting forests but keeping indoor plants. This contradiction is very much highlighted in the poem. Then, moving on to the second theme, which is talking about the freedom and liberation, trees moving out symbolizes the natural urge for freedom. Then, the poem talks about environmental concerns. The poem subtly warns about deforestation and ecological imbalances. And finally, the poem is a very good interpretation on the concern of feminism and societal norms. Some critics interpret trees as representing suppressed individuals or communities seeking liberation. Always mention at least two interpretations in long answers, environmental and symbolic. Now let us begin the detailed stanza-wise explanation. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days, where no birds could sit, no insect hide. The poet begins the poem very dramatically. The trees inside the house are moving out into the forest. This suggests they were previously confined indoors, perhaps as decorative plants. The forest is described as empty. This emptiness reflects deforestation. Humans have removed trees from their natural habitat. When forests lack trees, birds lose resting places, insects lose their shelter, ecological balance collapses. This opening already establishes the environmental concern. Let's continue analyzing the imagery of the empty forest. The poet says, even the sun cannot bury its feet in shadows. This is beautiful imagery. Normally, trees create shade. Without them, sunlight becomes harsh, natural cooling disappears. This phrase, sun's feet, personifies sunlight as a living entity. The stanza ends optimistically by mourning the forest will again be full of trees. This indicates hope, that is, nature's regeneration. Next, the poem describes how trees struggle to free themselves. The roots work all night to free themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. This image is very powerful. Concrete floors symbolize human constructions. On the other side, roots breaking through them suggest nature's resilience, silent resistance, gradual reclaiming of space. Students should notice the quiet effort. There is no dramatic rebellion, just a persistent natural force. Now the poet describes the physical struggle of leaves and branches. Leaves strain towards the glass. Twigs become stiff and branches shuffle awkwardly. These words suggest confinement, physical discomfort, urgent desire to escape. The use of personification makes trees seem human. Personification intensifies human emotional connection. Then comes the striking comparison, where the branches are compared to newly discharged patients. Imagine patients leaving hospital, weak, disoriented, adjusting to freedom. Similarly, trees are not used to open space after confinement. This simile evokes sympathy and highlights unnatural restrictions. And now the poet shifts attention to herself. The poet says that she sits inside writing letters, but hardly mentions the trees leaving. This suggests something very important, that humans often ignore environmental changes. Sometimes we avoid discussing uncomfortable truths like ecological damage, climate crisis, or social injustice. Here, silence can indicate the denial. Next, the poet creates a sensory atmosphere. We see fresh night air, bright moon, smell of leaves and lichens. Nature still communicates with humans. The smell reaching rooms like a voice suggests nature calling us back. This reinforces connection between humans and environment. Now comes the climax of the poem. The poet hears whispers in breaking glass. Glass symbolizes barriers, urban life, artificial boundaries, human control. When it is broken, nature regains freedom. Trees stumble forward, again personified as humans. This suggests liberation but also vulnerability. Let's examine the final imagery. Wind rushes to greet trees, nature welcoming its own. The moon appears broken like a mirror. Actually, its reflection is scattered among leaves. This shows that restoration of natural harmony, beauty returning to forest landscape. Ending tone is quite hopeful and reflective. Now we summarize literary devices here. So the most important literary devices used in the poems are as follows. The first one is personification, where the trees behave like humans, they move, struggle, and whisper. And then comes the simile, where the branches like discharged patients, branches are compared to the patients. Moving on to the imagery, the moonlight, smells, shadows, all these helps you in creating a mental picture, mental image in your mind when you're reading the poem. Then comes the symbolism. Trees symbolize freedom, resistance, ecological balance. And finally, metaphor. The forest departure is compared to the ecological crisis over here. Mention at least three devices and exam answers. And mention the literary devices with text evidences from the poem because they will let you help in scoring good marks. Now let's interpret some deeper meanings in the poem. Environmental interpretation is most common. Nature resisting exploitation, social interpretation suppressed groups seeking freedom, feminist interpretation women seeking independence, breaking societal constraints. Advanced answer include multiple interpretation. Let's just analyze the tone and the mood of the poem. The tone shifts from concern, reflection, and then hope. The mood progression is from tension, liberation to renewal. Recognizing tone helps answer inference questions. So now let's focus on some important exam points. From the exam point of view, remember trees symbolize freedom. Poem criticizes environmental destruction and ecological imbalance. Heavy use of imagery and personification can be seen in the poem, and the ending is very optimistic. Frequently asked questions can be from the central idea of the poem, symbolism, literary devices, or the line explanation. Finally, let's conclude. In conclusion, this poem teaches us nature cannot be permanently controlled. Freedom is essential for all living beings. Environmental balance must be respected. It reminds us that harmony between humans and nature is necessary for survival. And final key takeaway for exams is that always connect symbolism with environmental or social context. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching the video till the end. If you felt like this video was helpful, kindly please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And see you soon in the next video. Thank you.